The Love Your Body podcast is brought to you by Danny D Fitness, along with Cinema 83, and our featured sponsor, Music City FitCon, presented by Core and Health Fitness. If you're looking to come to the next Move Fit pop-up, it's actually happening at the Music City FitCon in October. So I actually have a deal with them going on for $30. So you can come get your Move Fit on and come to my panel discussion, which is going to be epic. So I'm very excited about it. You can find the deal on my Instagram. Link is in my bio. It's going to be an awesome event. You can actually get CECs. So if you're somebody looking to start your healthy lifestyle journey, if you're looking to start teaching, training, you can come take class all day long. But I will be speaking and doing Move Fit that day. So I'd love to see the Music City FitCon. For those of you who've seen my new LYB gym, you've seen all the amazing equipment in there. My Stairmaster as well as my RXD bench came from Core and Health Fitness. And I'm so honored and excited to have them as a sponsor for this podcast, as they believe in the mission that everyone should move their body and love their body throughout their journey. If you're looking to add pieces of equipment to your home gym, you can reach out to Tony Gray. He's my contact at Core and Health Fitness. His contact is tgray@corehandf.com. So tell him I sent you and that you heard about him and heard about Core and Health Fitness on the Love Your Body podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the Love Your Body podcast. On today's episode, I have my best friend and the amazing Jordan Tussey. Oh, what's up, girl?
Hey.
How you feeling?
Good.
Yep.
Nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous.
I know. We're in the home space and
That's
we're
right.
just having fun. I got to show you the LYB gym.
I know.
What'd you think?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
All fun for all types of things. You
don't even have to leave. You can just stay here and do all the things.
That is the goal. That would be awesome. But it's so weird because I don't know if you've noticed a change. We were talking about this a little bit before we get started, whatever. But I don't know if it's just this home ownership. You see those videos and they're the dads doing stuff differently and whatever. I just feel like that's me now.
Yeah.
I just want to be here. I move slow, but I think that's the prep too. But you know what I mean? But I'm things are just yes, I'm doing a lot, but just in a different way, if that makes sense.
Well, and I also think too, when you have your home, the things that, the environment set up how you want it. You don't want to leave. You want to stay around your things and you feel more comfortable just, being there. And
I don't know. It's so interesting because at Connect, we were talking about that before too. It's I just didn't feel, I don't know. I never felt you don't feel like it's yours, right? And even though I was the first person to live there before anybody was in there, but it just I feel like I was always around people or always being seen or always being whatever. And here it's just kind of no, my neighbors keep to themselves. I just come and go as I please. I seriously, this isn't even a plug for anything. If you can find a way to start building your credit, getting your savings up, all the things to get a house, because people are it's such an endeavor. It's where it's yeah, it is, but
it's the best investment.
Yeah. And my dad used to say it all the time and I always rolled my eyes at him and was just whatever, know? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I really love it.
Yeah. Proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I wanted to talk, I feel like a lot of people have seen you around my events. They've seen you do yoga. They know you teach and everything like that. But I don't really think a lot of people know your story and know, as deep as I do. And so I just wanted to share that today. Awesome. So go ahead and take me down, what got you started on your healthy lifestyle journey?
Okay. So, I guess, as a kid, I was always active. I was in gymnastics. I was on the dance team from the time I was in dance from the time I was 5 until 17. Yeah. And then I made our county's, elite dance team whenever I was 12 and just fell in love with it. And, was always terrified to be on stage though, which is hilarious because I was a dancer, but it was always so nerve-wracking and I just loved movement. Yeah. And then, some things happened when I was a kid, just some hard things with my mom and my parents, separating and stuff. And so there was a time then where I kind of just felt lost and just sort of alone and I wanted to isolate. I didn't want people outside of our family knowing what was going on, out of protection for my parents and also just I was kind of ashamed. Yeah. So the outlet at that point wasn't movement. It was food.
Yeah.
You know, it was like emotional eating. And I didn't like know that at the time. I just knew like sugar felt really good.
Yeah.
You know, it made me numb out. And so I just got really overweight and just felt like I didn't want to look in the mirror. I didn't want to put on any clothes. I wanted to hide from everything. And, you know, just, it was a really dark time from the time I was like 16 to 19.
Okay.
And then when I was 19, I started going to a gym. Had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I'll just hop on the treadmill.
Were you in college this time?
No.
Okay.
So I dropped out of high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
a lot of people do not know that. Yeah. I can't believe I just said that.
The rebel.
Yeah. I dropped out of high school whenever I was 17.
So you're a junior or were you a senior?
I was a junior.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah.
That was the hardest year. I mean,
it was so hard. It was so tough. My high school felt like a prison. There were like bars on the window.
You grew up in Indiana?
In Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know nothing about Indiana, so I love how like
Yeah,
active,
I mean,
like
there's
there's bars in the window. Yeah, I totally get it.
There might not have been, but like it felt like a prison.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was rough. And so I didn't feel like that was a refuge kind of place. And so I dropped out of high school. And then I turned 18 in September, which would have been my senior year.
Okay.
And so I immediately got my GED.
Yeah.
And then started working.
Yeah.
You know, but had no direction. I was like, what? I had no idea what I wanted to do. Yeah, it was just wild.
And so, and you have,
Siblings.
yeah, who are they older, right?
Younger.
The younger. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm the oldest.
Okay. So your parents really couldn't be like, well, so-and-so did this.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah. So, and my parents were having like a time of their own.
They were, okay. So they were kind of just checked out with it. Okay.
So, you know, and like,
do they ever reflect back now?
Oh, totally. Like me and my mom's relationship is better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much goodness that's happened.
I feel that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So dropped out of high school, started working, and then still was just like, what am I doing? Directionless, you know?
Right.
And then when I was 19, I was working selling insurance.
Okay.
Terrible at selling insurance.
Yeah.
I was the lowest man on the totem. I care too much.
It just sounds awful anyway.
It was terrible.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And so I found fitness from just going into this like old grungy gym in my hometown where you had to like literally use a key to get in if it was after like 5.
Yep.
Had no idea what I was doing and just listened to someone. This was before like social media, really.
Yeah, before IG.
Yeah.
Like probably right around the time.
Yeah. It was like 2009.
Yeah.
And so I would walk on the treadmill for like 30 minutes and lost weight, you know, and that was initially my fitness goal.
Yes.
Was to lose weight, feel better in my clothes.
Right.
Really hadn't like dissected issues with food at that point.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm just going to move, see what happens. Yeah.
Yes. And it felt good. You know, I was like, I really was just like, wow, like I've found this and I like enjoy it. And so soon after that, like it's always been a part of my life, I guess, from the time I was 19 until now. I moved away, me and Calvin, my husband now.
Yeah.
We started dating in 2009.
Okay.
And then he took a job in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And I thought we would just break up. I was like, I'm not going to move. Like, you're not going to ask me to move to Wisconsin.
Right.
And so he did. And then that's where I went to college.
Okay, I see.
So I had my GED.
Yeah.
I went to community college and got my associates in physical therapy assistant.
Cool.
And I knew, like at that point, I was like, this is something that, this sounds crazy, but like I knew it would safeguard me in a way that I would be able to use health and fitness as a way to help other people.
Yeah.
You know, and like all the while I was living this double life with drinking and like getting lost in just being drunk, you know, because I still hadn't addressed like the deep, I don't want to call it trauma, but like the pain, the emotional pain I was dealing with, you know, with like brokenness of my family and just sadness.
Yeah.
So
you moved there when you're 19.
I was 20.
Okay, 20. Mm-hmm. So you're going to college, partying, right? Like, okay. And then Calvin is 2.
Yeah, but we weren't really partying. So like we drank at home.
Okay.
We didn't really like go out to the bars because the town that we lived in,
Yeah.
there was less than 1,000 people.
Okay. So everybody knew.
And in Wisconsin, everyone drinks.
Okay.
It's like they're all Catholic, and it's like if you don't drink, what's wrong with you?
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the norm. So
Totally.
No one even noticed that there was like.
Plus, we
Yeah.
were 20 and 21.
Right.
You know, which is like very much
Yeah.
a phase that everyone goes through, I feel like, at some point.
For sure.
Yeah. And so it was just, there was just a lot. And, alcohol just became like a way to numb out for such a long time.
Did you see, if you don't mind me asking, did you see your parents drink a lot, or was it more like you just clung to that?
My parents I didn't really grow up with my dad.
Okay.
I love my dad.
Yeah.
But he kind of had another family.
Yeah.
And so like he just wasn't really present. And my mom, she was actually pretty good, like in terms of not drinking around us until I was about 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And then she kind of found some other things that she dabbled in. And
Got it.
yeah, so I think there is something to be said about like alcoholism, drug addiction, like running in families.
Right.
But
And that's why I wonder if like anybody listening, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Because sometimes it can just seem like it's so normal when you see the parent doing that, or you
Right.
see the parent overeating, and
Right.
like then you're overeating, and then like it's hard to even realize,
Yeah.
But
And I think one thing with the food, like my mom, and bless her heart, like she didn't know any better.
Yeah.
She would constantly pick herself apart. She never picked me apart, but we just look very different. Like
Yeah.
if you've ever seen my mom, she's blonde, blue eyes,
Yeah.
like totally different body shape than me. And I always thought she was like the epitome of beauty, like in
Right.
goals.
Yeah.
And so like to hear her pick herself apart,
yeah.
I was like, well, what does she think about me? Or like,
Exactly.
Yes. I must not be good enough. Or
Yep.
it was just, things that you think of as a little girl.
Yeah. Because that's your like role model. That's your like superwoman, and when you hear that, it's like, okay, well then there must be something wrong with me too.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. And so we lived in Wisconsin for 5 years. I finished school and I was just like so sick of the cold, Danny.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I was in
Like-
Vermont for a minute, and I was like, no.
Yeah. I mean, and I
awful.
grew up in the Midwest, so it's like I know what winter is like.
Yeah.
But living there, and the people are great.
Yeah.
But I was like, it is winter
Yeah.
9 months out
No,
of the year.
that
I
sounds
can't
awful.
do this.
Absolutely awful.
Yeah. And so,
And you love sun, and you love sunshine, and being outside.
man.
And,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
so,
didn't realize that as much until I got sober.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I didn't really
Yeah.
know how important that was. But so after that, we decided to move to Illinois
Okay.
to be just a little bit closer to Indiana.
Okay.
And that's kind of where my addiction like took off,
Yeah.
was those 2 years in Illinois. I was brand new to a new city, didn't know anybody. It was a small town.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I had nobody, it
Right.
was just me and Calvin, and just felt really alone. And we were dealing with some really dark stuff. And, it was like, it was easily hid because there was no one around us.
Yeah.
So, it was rough. So, I mean, I was dealing with alcoholism and also dealing with, taking prescription pills, and it was just a really dark time.
Yeah.
And there was 1 month, I guess it would have been in 2016, that I tried to get sober, and I was sober for like 4 weeks, I
Okay.
think. And then I was just bored.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
like, this sucks,
Yeah.
because again, I was taking away the substance,
Right.
but not dealing with any of the emotional.
And at this point,
Stuff.
what job were you at? Like, what were you
I was
doing?
working as a PTA, and
okay.
yeah. I was working as a PTA, and as far as I know, no one ever like brought it to my attention that they knew that this was a
Okay.
problem. But
Okay.
I would imagine.
So you pretty much hit it.
Yeah.
And you were just like
Yep.
good during the day, and then at home.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I just like didn't try to take any chances of like drinking with anyone.
Right.
Just so they wouldn't know. It was
Yeah.
very like a secretive, like double life. It felt like, just really sad.
Yeah.
And so we came to Tennessee as a way to like escape.
Yeah.
Like a way to kind of have a fresh start and like run away from those problems.
Was that both of your ideas, or was that Calvin kind of spearheaded that, or you did, or?
So my mom had moved here, and she lives in Smyrna.
Yes.
She moved here in 2015.
Okay.
And so whenever all of that was going on, I was just like, well, we could move to Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know, Calvin lost his job as a result of our addiction. And like, I was just like, well,
might as well.
Let's pick up and go. We didn't really love Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me when you moved to Tennessee, where'd you find where to live? Like where exactly did you?
So my mom happened to know of a guy who was a landlord in Murfreesboro. She didn't know him personally,
the borough. Yes.
Yeah. And she was like, I had a friend that rented from this guy. He lets you have pets because we have 2 pugs.
Yeah. Adorable.
Yeah. She was like, just contact him and he'll have something, I'm sure. And so we emailed him.
Yeah.
He's a very older, like, from Murfreesboro, born and raised. And he was like, I have a place for y'all. You know, it's $1,200 a month for rent. And so I was like, okay, sign us up. We'll move in on McNeil Drive.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. And people are probably listening are like, yeah, why is that significant at all? We're getting to it.
Yes. I know, so wild. And so we lived there for a good while.
Yeah.
Like almost 2 or 3 years. And then that first year that we were here, so we came here in 2017.
Yep.
I was trying to like manage my addiction, Calvin's addiction. And it's like, it wasn't working.
Yeah.
You know, like there were still liquor stores here in Tennessee. Shocker.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like,
yep. You got some whiskey, Jack Daniels. Oh, yeah. Everything.
Yeah. And then like the year we moved here, they started selling alcohol on Sundays.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. Yeah. And then it was July 1st, 2017, that it all kind of just like came to a head. My brother was staying here with us, me and Calvin, and we were all just like in this darkness of addiction and, just manipulation and lying and scheming, you know, just really, really bad. And I don't want to say too much about their story, just out of respect for them. But at that point, I realized, like, I am in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble. I have no business managing my own addiction, let alone anyone else's.
Exactly.
You know, like, that's not my job. And I just remember, like, looking up to the sky and being like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And
which is so hard because at this point, I mean, y'all are married, right?
Yeah.
So like as wife, you know, and as a sister, you're like, I need to, as a female, I need to take care of them.
Right.
I need to do something. I need to set the example, take on all this burden. But really it's the exact opposite.
Right.
Like you have to take care of yourself first.
Not only that, but it's like, I am not capable.
Right.
Like I understood at that point,
like
there has to be something greater than me to manage this because like, obviously this is broken. Like I can't fix what's going on from the same source. So I wouldn't say that I was a Christian at that point, but like I knew there was God. And so, you know, at that point I just had to kind of learn to let go. And it was really tough. And so I was sober for probably about 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then I was like, I can't do this by myself.
Okay.
You know, like just, I basically felt like I was just constantly, I don't want to say white knuckling it, but I was just like, there's got to be more to life than just not drinking.
Right.
You know, like there's got to be.
Because probably always on your mind. It was like always. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, man, you know, it was in the middle of summer. I was like, I'm missing out on fun because like I associated fun with drinking.
Yep.
And I didn't have any friends. You know, I'd lived here for a year and I just like, basically I went to the Mac. And
the gym.
Didn't talk to anyone at the gym.
And that gym is more like older people anyway, like, or it was before it got closed down and stuff. But
and I wasn't like making an effort.
Right.
You know, like I was making it to where I was an island.
Yeah.
And so I would always go to McKay's bookstore. I think it's like right down the road.
Yeah.
Honestly. And just like peruse their recovery section.
Okay.
And I kept seeing AA books.
Okay.
The big blue book is what it's called. And they were $5. And this is like how I know that I had a true problem is I would go in there and look at it. And then eventually I was like, okay, I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah.
And so the book is like 164 pages, the actual learning portion of the book.
Okay.
And then the back part of the book is stories of people who've been sober.
Yeah.
And so I bought this book and I was like, I'll just read it myself. I don't need to go to meetings, I'll just kind of, I'll manage
I'll
this.
navigate it. Yeah.
And so eventually I was like, I don't understand. Like maybe I should go to a meeting.
Yeah.
And then I did that for a little bit. And met a lot of really cool people and basically got to hear my story being told from other people.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I was like, wow, I've never felt like so not alone.
Right. So at this point, so it's still 2017?
This was 2018.
Okay. So we're into 2018 and now you're going to AA meetings or was it recovery of any? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was AA meetings.
So you did you feel like the pills were just like a extra like that you were doing or did you feel like you had an addiction to the prescribed?
I had an anxiety attack after being on the pills once.
I see. Okay.
And after that, I was like, these are straight from the devil.
Okay, got
I was
it.
like, this is, I'm done with this.
I got you.
And I was really scared.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the time, I felt like I was dying.
Yeah.
But I'm really grateful for that experience because it was
Right.
enough to just like scare me.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to live.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was alcohol definitely for me. But so I started going to meetings and just met some people there. And as much as I didn't want to, I was building community and just like caring about other people, like truly caring.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. And like before, I got sober, I thought that I cared about people. I really did. I thought that I, just was a natural caregiver and wanted to take care of people. But really, I was seeking validation.
I see. Yeah.
I was like, if I love you and serve you, what am I going to get in return?
Right.
Like your validation, your love, whatever. So it was very manipulative.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Toxic for
sure. Yeah. And so then
there's a lot of people that are like, that do that though.
And don't know it.
And don't have no idea.
Yeah.
They don't even see it.
Right.
Like it would just, anyway.
Just kind of like a cloud of delusion is what I felt like I was living in.
I think it's just like life. Like that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
What can you do for me?
Right.
What can I get out of this?
Yeah.
Like, I hate that.
I know.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and I hated to like have to admit that, it was like, dang, like I'm not as good as I thought I was, like I am. Yeah. There's a lot of work I can be doing, but, so learned a lot through those rooms. And then I think at some point I started following you on Instagram.
yeah.
I was like, I don't remember how I found you. This was like in 2018. So I don't know if you posted something and I just saw it through the search.
Okay.
And it was right when you were starting your business.
So, so that's what I was going to say. In 2017, in July, is when I had my birthday. I went to California, saw my mentor.
Yes.
And August 1 is when I started my business, 2017.
Okay.
So that started everything, but that was in Franklin. I was living in the borough. You guessed it.
Yep.
On McNeil and off of White Oak Drive and where my parents live. And so I would have had to driven past your house every day to get out of the neighborhood.
Multiple times a day.
Multiple times. But this is me, like, I mean, starting a business, like full-fledged, like events, everything. Like I'm spending 16 hours up at Franklin. I already was the years before, like training stuff at another gym. But now it's like I'm running my business, whatever, and then coming home just to sleep, essentially. So it's not like we would have ever seen each other anyway, or I'm so oblivious that like.
No idea.
Yeah.
And I just remember following you because you were just different. I was like, love your body. I don't think that was the thing then. It was more like get your movement in, fight for what you want. And I was like, who is this blonde, like little Tigger of a person who is just like, seriously, I'm like, I love her. Yeah. And is she real? And so,
is she real?
Yeah.
Does she actually exist?
And then I think you posted, I was working out at the Mac at the time.
Yeah. And I would go in there sometimes.
Yes. I never saw you there. Mm-hmm. And I would always be like, I wonder if Danny's going to be here.
That's so funny.
That's so
it was, no. It was always an occasion thing because that's actually where I got my first trainer when I was like 16 and I was dancing because we have very similar stories. Started at 3, stopped dancing at 18, whatever. Mm-hmm. But when I got, a little bit heavier due to my acid reflux and all that stuff, whatever, my mom got me a trainer. I started there working out. Mm-hmm. And so, but I would go to Zumba and then we would all go eat Mexican food after. You know what I mean? Like it just was not, but he was very sweet. But anyway, I would go there for that. So when I would come like back from college, I would go there to work out sometimes. And then same, like when I started my business, I was like, well, it's just right here. Like if I have the time, I'll go over there.
Well, I remember seeing, I think, videos that you would post from the Mac. And I was like, she works out here? What? But I think, let's see, I didn't meet you until like 2019.
I think it's 2019, yeah.
Yeah. I was at Float Alchemy.
Yep.
And I was on my way.
I remember this exactly. Yes. Tell a story.
So I was on my way to go climbing because Climb opened. I quit the Mac because I was like, this is not my vibe.
Right.
Climb opened and I immediately felt like this is my place.
Yep.
There was a yoga studio in the back. I'd never climbed before, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And the people were great. They still are. But I walked into Float Alchemy, got some kombucha, and then in walks Danny. And I was like, too afraid to like be like, hey, I followed you on Instagram for like the last year. And so Amy was working at the counter. I was like, is that Danny? I was like, you have to go tell her to come talk to me. I was like, I just want to like meet her if you can introduce us or whatever. She was like, yeah, sure.
So literally my side of the story is, so I was a float ambassador for them.
Yes.
So their first female ambassador that they had all these like athletes and guys and whatever. And then they had me. So I was like, love your body, whatever. So they're giving me like free sauna, free float, all the stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm beat up. At this point it's 2019, right? So like, I think I'm starting. So I've gotten into strongman at this point. And so I'm pretty sure. So I was doing, So anyway, needed the recovery, loved the space, and it was right there down from my parents' house. And literally, I remember I was in there and I was about to get in the cryotherapy, and Mark was like, hey, Danny, when we're done in here, there's somebody that he like knocked in the thing. He's like, there's somebody like here that wants to see you. And I just thought he was like screwing with me. You know what I mean? Like I thought he was like, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like I thought like Amy had something to tell me, and I was like, what's up? You know what I mean? Like I kind of thought I was in trouble. So I walk out, and then here you are, just like kombucha in hand, and you're just like glowing, and you're like, hi. And I was like, hi. And you gotta, okay, anyone who knows me, who's listening to this, y'all know I'm moving a million miles an hour. And also I don't remember names. It's so hard for me. Like, and also people assume because I see your Instagram with the little like thing, or whatever, and you didn't at all, but like other people have done this for me before, where like that I know that that's you that we've had a conversation with, and I don't. And so I'm like, oh my God, like, have I met her? Who is it? You know what I mean? I'm thinking like, what event, what thing, what is it, whatever. And you're like, hi, you seem so excited. And I was just like, oh my gosh, she's like beautiful and strong and like, yeah, what's up? You know what I mean? And I think you're like, yeah, I would love to go get a climb in with you. At this point, I think I'm like lifting heavy, right? So I'm like exhausted. So I'm like, yeah, like a climb would be nice at some point. Yeah, should just message me on Instagram, or something like that. Yeah. And then I think after we left, we were talking or whatever. Was it there?
Yes.
Okay.
So we went climbing. Okay. We met up. I feel like it was
like a couple weeks after that.
Yeah. Like on a Monday morning or something. And you were filling out your waiver.
Okay. Yes.
And you were like typing in your address, and you were like, so where do you live? And I was like, I live in Murfreesboro. And you're like, yeah, but like where?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, kind of like out of town, like on your way to Franklin. You were like, I know, but like what street?
Yeah, I'm like,
and I was like, McNeil Drive. And you were like, I have grown up and lived on McNeil Drive my entire life.
Yeah. So basically,
like, get out.
I'm like about to climb with this girl that I only know from social media.
Yeah.
That just told me that she lives on the same street as me. So I'm like, is this like, what's happening? Am I being set up? Is this like a stalker situation? Like,
No.
Thank you for listening to Love Your Body podcast. You can subscribe on Spotify, YouTube. You can follow me at Dandy Fitness 1 on all social media platforms. Please direct message me if you ever have any questions or you feel like you want to share your story. If you are wanting to sponsor the Love Your Body podcast, I would love to have you. We're always looking for more people to just be a part of the mission to help people love themselves throughout their journey.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan Tussey. I teach yoga every Saturday morning at Klein Murfreesboro at 9:15. I'd love to have you. If you've never done yoga or if you're a seasoned yogi, come check it out. It's a lot of fun, and it's in a really cool little cozy spot in the back of a climbing gym. I also teach Alpine Fit on Thursday nights at 7:15, and it's just a good mix of kind of like a boot camp style workout with climbing mixed in there, and you never know, you just might find your new community over there.
But then I'm like, nah, like she's too cool for this. Like we're vibing. Like, but again, you're telling me about like your dance background. I mean, it's like with your mom's stuff,
weird.
There's a lot of similarities, and I'm just like, soulmate, like what? But you're married? Like I don't know what's going on.
The
like,
funny thing is like we had a connection there too, because
Yes.
I felt like my mom looked completely different than me.
Yes.
You and your mom looked completely different than
Yes.
each other. There was just so many similarities. Yeah.
and your struggle with alcohol.
Yep.
I mean, you said you had struggle with food too,
Yes,
but like,
definitely.
I think that, my struggle with food, obviously, like I drank a lot. Like, I did. But it was never like a problem where I was like, oh, I can't wait for the next drink. It was seriously, it was because I felt so uncomfortable in my body that I didn't want to see my body. I wanted to see blurred vision of like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like of like, so let's get out of this reality. And because I felt sexy, I felt strong. And then all the boys wanted to like kiss me when I was drinking, or whatever. So it just, all of that tied into it, And I was drinking Jaeger, for God's sakes. Like who likes?
I was drinking everything.
Who likes Jaeger? Like, and like Burnett's. And I mean, and too, with like being like heavier and stuff, it was just like I could just keep drinking. But I only blacked out. I fell off a bus, but like 3 times, I guess. Mm-hmm. But they were 3 very detrimental times where like bad stuff really could have happened if people wouldn't have been there to like pick me up. I mean, the fact that I was like, here's my wallet, here's my phone. Whoa, people took care of me, was actually really great. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like
there's been a time or two where I've just been like, wow, like I've had so many either guardian angels or something, like looking out for me because, and 4th of July is always a wild time pre-sobriety, because I was just like totally acceptable to just get shit-faced, like completely. And so I think it was 2 years before I got sober, 2 or 3, 4th of July, I went to a bar, was blacked out, woke up in the ER. Yeah, and like had no idea how I got there, which is scary because it's like, okay, obviously you were like really, not well. Yeah. So just grateful that I was not in like handcuffs, I guess. I don't know.
Driving.
Exactly. Yeah. So many things.
No, I definitely get that. So yeah, it's wild to think about, because it really always stemmed from, I'm super uncomfortable with all these people coming here, but also like, I don't mind being the center of attention, but I also need, you know what I mean? I don't know. It was so many things going on. Like, and this is too, like, especially in college, like, God, I wanted to be accepted so badly. And literally the girls would come up to me after and be like, well, how many numbers did you get tonight? Like guys' numbers. I'm like, none. Cool. Now I feel like a failure and this isn't even academic. You know what I mean? Like I'm a failure in every aspect. Like I don't know. So it's like, and it wasn't that I was bad at school or anything like that. I was a hard worker, but it's just like things didn't come naturally to me. It's never been natural to me, anything. So it's like, that was very challenging. But when it comes to, so it was like 19 that we meet. And then, so we do the rock climbing and everything like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is cool. Like we have a lot in common. And I love that you were following and stuff. And like, that was right around the time where people were starting to notice me as well. So it was kind of one of those things where like, I'm like, this feels genuine, but also no, for sure. But also like, I was like having so many people then like start to kind of act like like Danny Fitness, Danny Fitness. You know what I'm saying? And you really were like, no, like, let's talk about Danielle. And like, you know, and that really meant a lot because then I was like, okay, because that's how I categorize people. If I'm being honest, are you someone that we're going to go have a meeting and we're doing Danny Fitness stuff? Or are we someone that's going to go hang out and like we talking real stuff?
Right.
Like Danielle, you know? And that was where I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so what was it like 2020 and we're like lunging down the road like during the pandemic.
Oh
and
my
like,
gosh. Yeah. So it was right before the world shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think actually things had shut down.
Yeah.
It was right after all the gyms started closing. You were having to virtually train everybody.
Yep.
And I just remember you were like, get your Danny D fitness stuff on. We're going to go do one.
from your house, my mom's
You were like,
house.
we're doing it for 30 minutes. And I was like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And we did.
We did.
Like 32, actually.
That was wild. That was a good
32
time.
minutes. I was so sore for a week straight.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Couldn't go up and down stairs.
I was just thinking about challenges. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm doing virtual sessions and whatever. And, you know, at this point, like, I don't know. It was a weird time. It was a weird time.
It was a very wild time. And I'll go into that a little bit.
Okay.
So, like right after pandemic, this was like, I guess not uncommon during pandemic. Like a lot of people got divorced.
Yeah.
Me and my husband separated and got divorced. He was still very much like in his own addiction. And I was like scared to be stuck in that house together. Not that he would hurt me or anything, but just like I didn't want to deal with it.
Well, when you're around people, it's the same with food. Like, you know, you can say, I'm going to stay on my path and be whatever. But if somebody's eating your favorite pizza right beside you or a pizza that you loved and reminds you of your childhood, you're like, dang, like, could you maybe not do that around me?
Right.
But again, it's their life, right?
Right.
And so then you're having to also have that internal struggle, right? So I know that you were going through that and I was going through my stuff. So it's also like we had that similar, you know what I mean? Like
I was like, thank God for Danny in 2020 because, like, yes, definitely. Both of us were dealing with a lot of trauma outside of like not knowing what was going to happen to the world. I mean, just a lot of like unknowns. But so I moved out and I was just like crazy. I was just so stinking crazy. Didn't know. Just
why do you say it like
because
that? I just don't feel like you were crazy. I just feel like you were.
I was lost, really confused.
I mean,
really, really confused. You know, and I wish like I go back and I think like, what if I would have tried to get counseling or do something to kind of like help Calvin a little bit more, but that's not the way it worked out.
No.
And so, you know, for him, that meant like he had to get help.
Yeah.
You know, and like that was the what do you call it? The launching off point or whatever, the tipping point.
Yeah, the tipping point.
Where he decided to get sober too. And so what was amazing is he got sober in that time, in a time where everyone else was like just getting bombed, you know?
Oh yeah.
And he found fitness, like his own way of like finding fitness, which
tell him how does he work out?
So he like swings clubs and maces and stuff. And I was just like, this is so cool. I've never seen this ever.
Yeah.
And loved nature, which I mean, like I would beg him to go on hikes with me and stuff before.
Yeah. And
So, I mean, he just kind of found his own way.
And I think that's what was the saddest part of it was that like you genuinely were like, man, I'm doing all these walks. I'm getting my movement in. Like I'm loving myself more. I feel good with everything. I got my stuff under control, you know, like, and then to watch you feel like you have no one to share that with.
Right.
And I mean, like,
It was lonely.
And I mean, I love you, but like, man, I am not hiking all the time.
I know.
Like I will go for a pretty waterfall. I will go for like a cliff to jump off or whatever, you know, in the water and like that kind of stuff. But
You'll
like,
paddleboard.
Yeah, I'll paddleboard.
Yeah.
I have my things.
Right.
Not a lot of
You don't
things.
like bugs.
I hate bugs.
Yeah.
Like, who likes, dude, I can't vibe. It's just a skin thing. It's a skin thing. If you could put me like a protective, like mosquito, like net or something. Literally, I was outside for 2 seconds, like a little bit ago, and a bug just like bit me. And I was like, what the heck? And like, just like threw it off. But like,
They do live out there.
I know, but like, get away from me. And someone's like, Danny, put on bug spray. I do. I'm like lathered in it. When I work out with Matt, I lather in that just to like you know,
I know.
it's awesome. Anyway, so we're at 2021
2020.
now? Okay.
Still.
Yep.
Yeah, I just feel like during that year, especially that summer of 2020, I just don't know what I would have done without you, really. You know, like there was just so much, that that's when I feel like we became really, really close.
Yeah.
Like it was more than just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Like we knew each other.
Yeah.
So
because I think I probably was, I mean, my memories doesn't serve me well during 2020, but for the latter part of it. But I feel like I would just call and like cry or just call and be like, I need you over here.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And you were one of the only people that I felt like I could talk to. Like when I reference people on my podcast, you guys, like, and say that, oh, the people that were there, the people that were non-judgmental, the people that were like all the stuff that helped me through that loss and the trauma, like Jordan is that person. Like, I mean, and that was a beautiful moment, but also confusing because it's like I didn't, you know, even people that I knew for years, right? Like way before that, and like that didn't show up for me like you did, you know. And it wasn't like trauma bonding either, because like because you were going through your stuff. It's completely different, and you were just present, and you were there. But I felt like it was a beautiful, you know. So,
well, and I think too, like I've been honest with you.
Yeah.
About things too, where I'm like, well, Dan, you know, I haven't just kind of like told you what you wanted to hear all the time too,
right,
which I feel like that's a friendship.
It is a friendship, and that's what I want.
Yes.
And that's why like I can tell when people leave stuff out of stories or whatever to try to like cope, because they think I'm gonna like maybe judge or something, and it's like no, like I'd rather just be open and honest because it's gonna come out either way.
Right.
And that's why that was also hard for me because I felt like I couldn't be open and honest about everything with everyone, right? And didn't even know what parts to be open and honest about or what to share. Because it was just awful.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And I think too, like you have to give yourself a chance to know how you feel about it.
Right.
Before you get everyone else's commentary.
Yeah.
That I don't know if that's right, but I feel like
for
that.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I wish I would have done that and not had talked to somebody so often, because he always told me stuff or whatever. But
yeah.
Anyway. But no, you always had like very good advice, and we're able to just listen unapologetically. Like, and that was what I needed. And not someone to fix me, not someone to judge me, not someone to like rush me either. I hate being rushed anyway. I hate being rushed in life, right? I do my own schedule and I rush myself, right? That's fine. I'm choosing to do it. But when other people rush me, I don't like it. Like, back up, you know? I don't know how to explain it. It just, anyway.
I think just like holding space. Like if
like,
you're,
let me like breathe for a moment, you know, a moment. And I feel like I could not catch my breath that whole time. And then to watch you, you know, because I mean, I get it, like when you were talking about stuff or whatever that you were going through, or like, I don't know, I feel like at some points you were kind of like, are you going to judge me for that or whatever? And I'm like, you do you, like, you know what I mean? Because like, you got to figure it out, like, and you got to experience life.
right.
Experience what things, you know, and I think that you took the time to do that, versus just sitting alone and feeling sorry for yourself or sad, which is what I feel like a lot of people would have done with it after a divorce. You know?
Right. And I think too, like, it's hard sometimes to share some of those dark spots in your life, just because for me personally, like I've dealt with a lot of shame. But I think someone told me this and I'll never forget it. It's like pain shared is pain divided. You know, so like with trusted people.
Right.
Not everyone.
Right. Because some people use it against you.
Yes. And I think like some people just aren't able or not equipped to like receive that.
Yeah.
But, you know, like find your people.
Yeah.
Find your people and like who you can really be honest and like at a heart level.
Yeah.
You know? 'Cause like there is nothing like that.
Yeah.
You know, there really isn't. Yeah. And so...
And I did want to touch on this with you because I've been thinking about this with like social media and stuff, which is just a weird freaking time. Like people liking my stuff that I know don't actually like it. You know what I mean? And like versus like same for them. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we've almost gotten to this, like, it's just response, right? It's just response.
Right.
You like it. You have to do this. You have to comment. You have to whatever. You have to what? Like all this like pressure stuff with it, right? That like, it's just so you don't even know what's real. You don't even know what's fake. You don't even know.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that is where you can't even make true connections anymore. Mm-hmm. And same thing with these guys and whatever that I'll go on dates with or I'll talk to or whatever, you know, they're just like, I just don't know how I don't know how you're single. I don't know, you know, all this stuff, whatever. But then I'm like, I do, because you ain't making an effort.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a while since we've talked. Yeah. Like, cause you didn't text.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Like, you pursued me. And like, everyone's, oh, like guys like to be pursued too. I understand. But if you pursue me and then you expect me to go run and start messaging you and chasing after you, like, that's not going to happen.
Right.
Like, make an effort, make a date, set a date. Like, that's what I love.
Intentionality.
Like, exactly. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to text you and be like, okay, cool, Jordan. Like, I'll text you in like 6 months and we'll get together.
Right.
I mean, it might be 6 months till we get there, but I'm not going to like put that out there right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more so going to be like, hey, what are you doing?
Put this on the calendar.
Yeah, put this on the calendar for next week.
Right.
And that's what we do. We have to do that, because then we know it's actually going to happen.
Exactly.
If you can't even make the date with me, then I know that you don't actually want to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. And that's the truth about life, not just relationships, friendships, anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I do think phones have made we're so connected.
But not
here.
connected.
Yeah.
But not.
But completely disconnected when it comes to being like face to face.
Exactly. And so that's where, I don't know, it almost just like, it gets to me like, oh, you know, a lot about stuff, because yeah, I don't know. It's just it's just a weird time. Mm-hmm. It's a weird time to be alive. So 2020, we've made it through that. Mm-hmm. You've been there for me through my loss. Mm-hmm. You now where are you still at the...
So
where'd you go?
Calvin and I got back together.
Right. Okay.
We got back together. I saw him. He rode up day before my birthday. He rode up on his crotch rocket, and I was like, "Who is this man?" Like, he had just gotten. He was the person I always knew he was.
Yes.
He got sober.
Yep.
He like was driven, like
leveled up.
The person
in every way.
Yes, like the person I always knew,
which like never happens.
No,
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You always you wait for that in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, you're waiting. You're like, oh, he's gonna come together. He's gonna get together, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I just started talking to him, and the crazy thing is like, this was 2020, so we had known each other since we were 14,
right?
13 and 14, been together since we were 19 and 20.
Yeah.
So we'd known each other for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, and like we meet up for ice cream.
Yeah.
And I just was like, wow, like, how is this even real? This was only 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, that from the time we got divorced till the time that we got back together.
And y'all didn't see each other? There was no contact, right? Or
I mean, I kept an eye on him on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was like swinging those clubs and stuff. And I was like, what is he doing?
Right.
But yeah, so I saw him and I was just like, wow, you know, and then he was sober, and like, he had this piece about him that I was just like, it was like so attractive. I was just like, you've grown so much. And it was funny because he lost like 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And he was like, actually, I've shrunk.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
my gosh.
you nerd. But, yeah, so after that, we just, you know, like, worked it out. We didn't get remarried right away. But he just was like, both of us, we were just like, wow, like, there's just so much peace and just like comfort and
because you both worked
healing.
on being your best self.
Yeah. And with a lot of help from other people.
For sure.
You know? Yeah. So yeah, that was 2020.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah.
Mark that one off. Like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But it's just wild to think about, right? I know we both, and you had job changes within that too.
So, yeah. So in 2022, I started a new job. I was really burnt out with healthcare.
Yeah.
I was just, especially pandemic, I was just like sick of wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sick of wearing a mask and not being able to see people smiling and
It
not
was just
hugging
very bland
people.
and very,
I was just like, I don't want to do this.
I get it.
And so I didn't know what I wanted to do though. So it was Christmas Eve, you know, Jen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Massey. Yep. She texted me and was like, hey, I need a PTA at my job. Like, it's you. It's your job. And I was like, okay. I was just thinking about leaving my job anyway. Like, this feels like this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so turns out the job was like 10 minutes from my house.
Yep.
It's a chiropractor, like run business. But it's like an integrated facility with chiropractic, strength and mobility training and all the things, like all the things that I'm interested in, like restoring health.
Right.
Yeah. And just, it's been great. Been there.
I love that.
A little over a year. So
And Blue Umbrella.
Umbrella Medical Group. Yeah.
Yep. So for those of you who watch my Instagram and have listened to the podcast, you know that I went and got the plasma reinjection and everything like that, or injection and shots, and that was there. And I was really nervous about it. Y'all made me feel very comfortable. Courtney really was awesome. And, and just like helping me feel all right. And, I don't even know what I did to my knee. It just didn't feel right. Something was just, could be all the stairs, but it really just felt like there was something that I tweaked. And then I was like, dang, I don't feel secure with all the squats and everything I'm doing. I'm like, we got to get this looked at. Or get this taken care of. And they're like, no, we don't see anything. There's something like wrong, like in terms of a tear or anything like that, but might as well. So I thought it was cool. And I mean, literally within 2 weeks, like I felt back to normal.
Yeah. And it's your own tissue.
Exactly. Which I thought was so cool. My blood turned like gold and stuff. And like, I don't know, the whole thing, I'm not big on needles, not big on doctor's offices, but going there felt good. And it felt like nice. Everybody like knew who I was kind of, and it was just a safe space. So that was really great. So they did the shot in my knee and then in my calf. And so that was great.
How did the calf one work out?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, cause like, again, my numbness has been going away. So it's like, we just wanted to kind of see. And again, like my progress has only been improving with stuff with that. So I don't know if I'm sure that only helped it. You know what I mean? But yeah, the knee definitely, that was so weird because I never had knee stuff before. So I was just like nervous. And so that has really helped me with my prep.
I have two in my knee.
Okay.
And, I don't know what I did to my knee either. And I'm like too stubborn to go get an MRI or anything. I was just like, I'll rehab it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't getting better.
Right.
And so then we started doing the PRP.
Yep.
And I was like, well, we can try it. And I'm like super skeptical about stuff.
For sure.
So I was like, okay, let's see.
People told me about stuff like that like a couple years prior. And I was like, no. And
It's
then
been
like
around.
you told me and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it then.
So I did it. The first injection, I felt a lot better, but it was still like kind of there.
Right.
And then the second injection, like haven't had knee pain since.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. But no, that was really, really helpful. So that meant a lot that I was able to go do that. Okay. So fast forward, you have a great job, great guy. Y'all moved into a house.
Yes.
Yep. In Murfreesboro.
In Murfreesboro with our pugs. Yeah.
2 pugs.
The coolest thing about having a house that we're not renting
Yes.
is we have a gym in our garage.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that.
So, after pandemic and like just having the gyms closed down, I was pretty lucky because I was able to still work out.
Yes.
But I was like, I don't ever want to go through that again.
Yeah.
Like, cause fitness, especially like getting sober, I felt like fitness was my next outlet.
For sure.
It was like just a way that I could just, I don't know, not only strengthen my body, but my mind.
For sure.
And just, I felt a lot of healing.
Yeah.
From it. And I still just have so much fun.
Yeah.
Like if you ever see some of my videos, like I'm sweating, but like I'm having a good time.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's a blast.
Good.
So
that's how it should be, guys.
Yeah.
For everyone listening with movement, it should not feel like it has to be a chore.
Exactly.
Whatever. And like, especially when you get into your routine, you get to your flow and everything like that, like just rocking with it is a beautiful moment. I love that.
And I constantly feel like a chameleon with fitness. Like I'm never doing just one thing.
Yes.
You know, like I've dabbled in CrossFit.
Yep.
I teach yoga. I rock climb indoors. So I'm not an outdoor rock climber, but basically like my mentality with fitness is like, my goal is to get up and down from the floor, like until I'm old.
Right.
Like that's what I want to be able to do.
Yes.
So,
and again, that's such a great perspective because it brings it back to health and actually like functioning, right?
Longevity.
And and so many people right now, I think the whole fad and the whole trend is, to work out to look good, to like, and to, it's always been to look good, right? Quote unquote.
And that's, I mean, like,
which
let's
is
be
fine.
honest.
You want to look good, but it's in the way that it's going about people, how they're doing it, and the exercises they're doing, and whatever, and the excessiveness, and and that's why I tell people, I'm like, your workouts need to be efficient and effective. That's it. Doesn't have to be flashy. And again, when I was young and I was getting into fitness and stuff too, I was like, let me do this and then up here and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I'll try anything once, 1,000 burpees one time, whatever. It's fine. But like, it's just one of those moments where I feel like we've been able to mature in our fitness and just see truly like a squat is a squat is a squat.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, and a deadlift and, and the things that like, it doesn't have to be flashy. It can just be,
right.
You have to show out and have the body that you want and love yourself, and feel good. But, so, now like, how has it been in terms of, okay, for anybody listening that maybe they're like, well, they're still early on their movement journey or whatever. Like, do you feel like, I don't know, do you feel like with the getting sober part that it all kind of happened like at a click where you're like, okay, I decided and then now I'm here? Because you said like when you had the 4 weeks and you had the 4 weeks, okay. But like what was different that last time?
I think everything that I lost.
Okay.
Like everything that was just, it felt so hard to live. Like everything, I remember 2017 getting off of work and just like, I couldn't make it home without stopping at the liquor store and buying wine.
Yeah.
I was just like looking forward to clocking out of work and going to the liquor store. And to the point where I was just like hiding bottles in my closet, like to keep it from Calvin and my brother, just like crazy insanity, really. And I think I had just gotten so fed up. I remember the last time I got drunk, July 1st, I remember drinking and I was just like, I don't even want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, this does not even feel good. This is not enjoyable. And then, that was a crazy night. Things happened. And so I remember like that.
July 1st of 2018. 18. Got it. So so we're coming. So
tomorrow.
So we're on.
Yeah. July 2nd is my sober date.
I love that.
Yeah. But
that's incredible.
And then I think too, like finding people. Because I had those 4 weeks pre-AA. And I don't go to AA meetings anymore, and not anything against AA. It's just like, it served a purpose in my story.
For sure.
And I think a lot of people, like, that's their journey.
Yeah.
Forever. Yeah. But for me, it was like, it was great for a couple years. Yeah. And then, I found other outlets, communities and that's definitely helped me continue to stay sober. And like, honestly, I just feel so grateful because like the desire is lifted. Like it's not even a temptation.
Right. And I definitely, I've loved watching your spiritual journey grow too. And so I feel like now because aren't you going to like is it a prayer group or is it which is awesome. And
if you would have told me like 2 years ago that I would have been a Christian, like I would have been.
I remember we went to church and you were kind of on the fence about, you're just like, I don't know
how I feel about it.
Yeah. And I was like, because that's always such a hard thing with me, because it's like, I want to be, I view myself as a servant, right? So I view myself as like, that's the life that like I'm designated to like be here and that serve a purpose, right? And that like, but almost to an extreme where it's like, I then can't enjoy all the things, you know what I mean? Whatever too. But then also like, that's not what I was meant for.
Right.
But that makes it really hard. And like, we talked about that the other day on the phone and stuff. It's like, when you strip away everything, it really is like, how like, you know what I mean? Like this, it's not really enjoyable, And so anyway, but looking at that made me so happy that you're like, I'm just coming from a prayer group. I'm like, dang, like, and I never feel like I am good enough when it comes to my due diligence with things, right? Like I feel like, no, you could get up and go to church more. Or, oh, you could do this, or you could do a group. I've always made excuses, right, for those type of things, but I want to do them.
Yeah.
I don't make the time to do it. So it's like now, like I'm subscribed to the newsletter, and so I get from my pastor every morning. So every morning when I'm on the stairs, like I'm reading it.
Yeah.
Every morning, and so I'm like, I can at least do that.
Exactly.
Read the passage, like don't skim it. Don't be over here talking to someone else. be intentional. Like if everything in your life, you know, in the day is so crazy, and you're in 20 different things, right? You're thinking about this challenge, you're thinking about this and that and whatever. It's like, take this time.
Right.
And so, and I love being able to do that. But yeah, so it makes me happy that, you know, knowing that. Cause again, I've always tried to be an advocate and like be like, and like share through my life and everything. But again, it's like, you never want to force anything on anybody.
Right.
And so you want to accept
make anyone feel like they're a checklist.
For sure.
You know, just like checking them off the box. And I think, I mean, I've been blessed with tons of people like that. You, my friend Lauren, you know, just really good people who have faith at the forefront of their minds. And it's like, you know, just like an interest in people.
And back.
You can continue.
Okay.
Need a marker somewhere.
Shoot. Hold on. I don't know. He literally texted me and said, ma'am. No, I'm not.
Is he in Arizona?
Yes, and I've left him on red, literally, Jordan, because I'm pissed off at all of them. You don't get to see what's happening in the transformation, all the shit, whatever, when you weren't there. My friend died, and I tried to call you to talk to you about it. Look, I'm sitting here depressed, and like literally I had messaged him, Eddie, and said, hey, can you please, like, I didn't even say call me. No, I was like, hey, like, I said something, and I was like, are you busy? He was like, or I said, hey, I'm like in a really low like spot right now, like, you know, and my friend just passed away or whatever. Could you please like just message me or whatever? He was like, hey, sorry to hear about your friend, but I'm out with friends right now. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're watching my every Instagram story that I'm putting out, but you can't message it. I didn't even say, hey, drop everything you're doing right now. FaceTime me. I got to talk, whatever. I literally was just like, hey, could you like message me? Like, I'm just like really lonely. Like, I don't, you know, I'm like sad about it.
Yeah.
No. I messaged you when your dad's anniversary of him dying. Like, I would literally it's not fair. And I know it doesn't have to be like fair, but like, it's also like,
I don't have to be available.
No. And there has to be like some effort, something like, geez, Louise, you know, like it's just crazy. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we were just talking about Jesus.
Yeah. I love talking about Jesus.
Before I kill these men. Hold on, let me get back into it. He knows. That's what I'm praying about. My gosh, leaning into it. But no. So, but I am very, like, it means a lot that to watch you grow in your spirit and to grow in everything that you've changed and just the mindset, right? But the thing is with me is like, when people say things like, man, like you just have been like, you know, sometimes I think people think it's luck. Sometimes I think people think like, well, yeah, of course, Sandy got that to happen, or these things like connect and all these things. Like yes, I did the hard work, but like God has put that on my path always. Exactly. Like I've been manifesting it, but like manifesting is just another word for being like following his path. Like, because when I went off of his path, like I prayed to him every day to bring me someone back in like 2016. And I know that he was like resistant. And he was like, you know what? Come on. All right, let's go. Brought me somebody, and he was an awful person, and that, you know, not us, but somebody else. And that was a horrible situation. And he let me go down that path, and that's fine, because that's what was supposed to happen. But it was one of those things where I pushed so hard for it. And God's like, yeah, you want it? Let's go. And then it was just bad. I had to learn from that. But again, it helped me with other things later on down the road. But I was like, okay, maybe I need to just sit and not force things and not be so whatever. And it was the same thing with about everyone was always pressuring me, hey, you need to get a house, whatever, in like Williamson County. And I was like, nah, like I'm gonna live for free in Nashville.
Yeah.
And everyone like kind of laughed at me. But I kept praying, I kept manifesting, I kept like reaching out, like writing it down, everything. I'm like, God, I know you're gonna bring me something. I know something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was gonna be a high rise 4 seconds away from my gym that I train out of. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And people can be like, whoa, how did that happen? Whatever. I didn't force that. I didn't seek out people. I didn't even know that high rise was going up. She found out of all the people in Nashville, all the females that look good, the models, the whatever, found my website. You know what I mean? And I like complained about that website because it cost a lot of money. And I was super mad. I took it as a negative, right? I'm like, oh, I wasted. I messed up. I put all this money in this stupid website, whatever. That website got me free rent for a year.
I know. That's why hindsight's so cool too. Because, you know, you get to look back on these things that maybe were really like bad.
Yeah.
Like at the time, like
Yes.
really, really terrible things that happened to you.
Yes.
Or terrible circumstances that you found yourself in.
Yeah.
And in my experience, like I am so grateful for all of those things.
For sure.
Dropping out of high school.
Yeah.
You know, like all of these things, because it's like all of it has led me to where I am today.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yeah, like there are some things that like I'm not proud of.
Right.
You know, but
Yeah.
like, you know, especially the people that I've hurt.
Yeah.
Like I'm not proud of that.
Right.
But it's like, I'm really grateful for all of the bad experiences because they've like brought me to where I am.
Yeah.
And I mean, it gives you experience to help other people
Yes.
who are facing something similar,
100%.
you know? And I think that's why we're all here is to help each other.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's the thing too, is like, I don't know, it's been such a beautiful journey in that. And it really does show proof that like when you do trust that intuition, when you do listen to him, when you do pray, like positive things are happening. Now, my crazy self is like, okay, but like I tend to let fear get the best of me a little bit when in the anxiety of like, okay, there's only like, cause I know that life is so short. So I'm like, there's only so much time you have to make a big impact. You know what I mean? So then I get like resentful when things happen, like the sexual content on Instagram and like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Or that someone maybe has it like, you know, can build their clientele faster than what I had to go through. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you can't compare those journeys.
No.
And so it's just like, but when you start to have like fear creep in, that shows like just an ugly part of the journey, you know? And that's why I've been trying to sit into this prep and be like, it's okay. Like trust your instinct and like go with it, roll with it. Like you'll make it through. And then we start to have negative thoughts. Like I'm like, give it to God, or like just walk away.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I blocked those guys on social media, like I was telling you about, because I was just over it.
Yeah.
I was over it. I'm over the nonsense about it, the grossness about it. Like that you talking about, like that you're finally looking at my body and then you think that I want to hear that. Like,
Right.
I don't need that. What I need is effort and intentionality, right? I don't need, like, I don't really need it, but like want it. But I don't want just comments and like, you know?
Yeah.
And, or somebody that like people that just treat me as just Dandy Fitness, you know? And that's been hard too.
Yeah.
That's a very weird line also. I don't know if you've noticed that. I mean, when I've talked about it a million times, but because
kind of like using you.
yeah, well, there's always something. There's always, because and again, I want to help the people that I want to help, like my clients and stuff like that. It's not about them because that's what they're paying me to do.
Right.
But it almost feels like, like it's like, oh, someone wants to meet up with me, but like it's for them to gain something, you know, or is it, and I just, you know, and then if I feel like it's going to be a certain type of way, it ends up being a certain type of way usually.
Just kind of not knowing people's motives.
Correct. But also like, it's weird because I don't know. It just, okay, for example, somebody said something to me the other day and I was just like had like high anxiety and I was just like, man, like I just, and by the way, I never had anxiety before. It just came up with like all the grief and the loss and stuff, which, so it's a recent thing. So I'm really trying to like manage that with therapy and like the journaling that we're doing for the challenge, for the challenge and everything like that. But it was like, she said, you know, we all look up to you. Like you're our like superhero or something like that, you know, or like, you're like whatever. And that's great. But also, you know what I mean? Like also, I'm just trying to have a moment as a person of like not thinking about that, like everybody needs me to lean on so they can live their life. Like where is my support? Because because I even reached out to my coach about that and said something like, hey man, like, I hope you understand, like, you're one of the only people that I can talk to about certain things. And he's like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that. Like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, like I don't have a husband. I don't have a boyfriend to talk to.
Yeah.
I don't, like, yes, I have, a couple good best friends and stuff like that, but like they have lives and they have stuff or whatever. So like these moments, like I need you or like I need whatever, like just like you can lean on your wife and you can lean on your people. So it's like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it just gets hard sometimes because I think they all think they're like, oh, well, you're so strong, you're this or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, but if I'm asking for support, like, that's why I hate when people put this stuff out there when tragedy happens. Oh, like, check in on your friends. And I'm over here like, check in on your friends.
Right. Not just when tragedy happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm also here like feeling like I'm like yelling from the rooftops. But yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's been really hard. So it's like, okay, I don't know. So it's such a hard thing to navigate during the prep and stuff because you're exhausted, you're over emotional anyway. And
your job requires you to pour into people all day long.
Right. And I want to help as many people as possible. And I know that I can, and I know what they've gone through and I get it and stuff like that. But it is like that hardship of like, man, like it would be nice to like, because that was something that I really loved about, Wes, was that like, honestly, he probably had me on mute and wasn't listening to a damn thing I said. But like, I would get done with training clients. I'd be like, I call him like that. It was just like clockwork. I call him after, sessions, whatever. And I guarantee he probably wouldn't even listen to anything. But, it was just having somebody there to talk to.
Yes.
And then I did that to Blake when I lost Wes, and did that to Blake. And, and then I'm sure I did it to you a little bit too, but it's just like, it was just like a thing that I started doing. I started doing it with my parents. And then I had to realize, stop filling the void. Like you have to live in that sadness that like, you don't have that anymore.
Well, and it seems like you're doing that. Like if you're spending time in the morning on your stair climber, in silence, because like, for me personally, that's when I have the most peace. Yeah. That's before like the hamsters start running in the cage in my mind. And like, I just have that time apart, to be still and just like listen.
Yeah. And that's when I'm the most creative. And that's so exactly. No. And I have gotten to that point now, but it was like I would say like a solid year or so. And that's why I was like, I can't date anybody right now. Like then. And I was just like, I have to like live in that. Like, so that was like what 2022 I feel like was mainly for me, was like really like, because he like lost him in 2020. And then I was just like, 2021 was just like injury, figuring out all this, the tire flip video. So a lot of positives, but then all that, whatever. But then 2022 was like kind of settle the dust,
Yep.
But then like.
It's when you started bodybuilding.
And then, exactly. So like 2021, that summer in July, when I started, like, but then really when I kicked it in was 2022.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know. Bodybuilders are weird. Like they're so weird. People ask me like, oh, like, should I do it? I'm like, no. Yeah. Like go run away. Like, I mean, but yes, I think that you should do anything once, you know what I mean? Try it and tell yourself that you can accomplish and like do hard things, right? Because it is hard. And I don't think people understand to what capacity it is hard. And it's so bizarre. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just bizarre. But it's cool. I mean, I like doing it. I like seeing my body shapes out, whatever. But, it's funny because I am trying to, and I think you're like me, right? Where we can go really to the extreme and then like to nothing either. And so someone was like, this coach was like, well, it doesn't seem like you like want it bad enough or whatever. And I was like, bro, like, I know what it's like to literally give my all to something, not win, and then like hurt myself because you know what I mean? Right. Like because of the pressure and the anxiety and whatever. I don't want to get to that. I don't want to live at hard timelines on my life anymore. I don't want to be like, I have to be here. I have to be successful at this. I have to do this. Like, I just want to do this and like enjoy it.
Yes.
And be like, man, I'm so glad that I can move right now. I'm so glad that like my leg is only slightly numb. I'm so glad I can feel my booty again. I'm so glad, like, only be positive about it and be like, you're capable. And the fact that you, like, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because I think, I mean, this may not be everyone's experience, but like, if you're not having fun doing what you're doing, like, why are you doing it?
Well, right. And that's the thing too.
I mean, like, As a general rule. There's going to be
Yes.
times where you're not having fun.
Right.
But like as a general rule, if you're not having fun or if you're hating what you're doing,
Right.
it's not sustainable.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing too, is like, I think where I got really depressed and like sad during the prep was because I kept looking at like, this is my life. This is forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it's not.
Right.
And it was super dramatic, but that's how it felt.
Yeah.
And then it almost felt like, I don't know. And I just like don't like, I keep looking out there because I think that the bird is back. The killer bird, I swear.
Is it like a vulture or what?
No, it's a freaking like mama bird, and she had a nest and it was a whole thing.
Did you
Anyway,
move the eggs?
I didn't touch the nest. Okay.
Did someone?
Someone, yes, but they were already gone and
Okay.
whatever. But the point is, she comes at me. Like, she comes at me all the time.
Oh, I bet you it's a
And
mockingbird.
so, whatever.
They swoop.
But
They swoop,
I've
yeah.
never had a thing with birds, and now every time I look out the backyard, I'm like, come through. But one day, like they conspire against me anyway. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like the prep stuff. Like, it is so challenging and so whatever. So that's why it's like when I feel like, you know, I might not be the most pleasant to be around, or I'm very like you have to focus on like one thing at a time, and I'm very scheduled anyway. But it's like it's almost like I have not even OCD or whatever, but more like where if I don't get one thing done, like before you even got here, but if I didn't send out that proposal, like I would have been thinking about the whole time that we were doing this.
Yeah.
And then it would have been a disservice to this, right? So I'm like, I had to get that done and then get the other thing done and whatever. Versus before it was kind of like, okay, like, you know, that's fine. I'll get to that after this and whatever, because I would have energy or I had to go eat and like whatever. Yeah. And now I'm like, nope, it's on a time schedule and whatever. So there's so many benefits to it. Don't get me wrong. If you're listening, you want to do a bodybuilding show, like do it, you know, whatever. But you got to have a good support system. You have to have a good coach. And like, I would not have been able to get through it without like you guys and without like my other wellness, like my competitors that I've competed against, like, and friends, because they get it, they understand. But I don't know if I'll do it again. But like the style of training I want to keep, because it keeps me safe and keeps me feeling good. And the food and like how, you know, the meal planning and stuff like that. Like, yes, but like I would like to get to a point where I can like order my meals again from a meal prep company.
Right.
So
And like
if anybody wants to
have some
sponsor that.
flexibility,
Yeah.
you know, in your life. And
Exactly. Because it is like, there's sometimes where I'm just like, man, like it would be nice to go do this or do that. Like, and I made a priority. I busted my ass so that I could go for my mom's 60th birthday and have dinner out to have a steak and veggies. You know what I mean? And like, whatever. So I like did that, and I felt very accomplished with that. And that was so cool. You know, same thing with my birthday, like work, you know, get the cardio in, get the stuff in, get to do whatever and enjoy that day.
Right.
Like, but so it does make it feel more like people don't understand that if you're not in it, you know what I mean? Like they don't get that like this is so special because it's just regular to you.
Right.
Like tacos are tacos to you, but like, you're not you, but you know what I'm saying? Like in general, but like to me, it's everything in that moment. And, but then you don't also want to have like, you don't want to put it as a, what's the word? Like a, over you. What is it? What I'm trying to say? Like, no, not pedestal. Like, where it's like all has control over you.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
Like you're like kind of, it's like a ball and chain sort of thing.
Yes, exactly. And that's something too, because people are like, I mean, the
They
people
almost
that
go the
message me.
opposite direction of like overeating to like restrictive eating.
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but also it's like I have people who message me that I have that are, you know, binge eaters. I mean, that are bulimic, like all these different things. And it's just so heavy all the time. And it's like, you know, strongman was very like fun, uplifting, like, you know,
Eat
it was
whatever you want.
Just lift. And like, and I loved that. But I still wasn't like my best, and I didn't feel like I was eating enough, and I wasn't eating enough. And so I never could like get it under control, you know? And so now it does feel like it's a better, more even kill. Like this is what I was supposed to be doing. But yeah, I don't know, but you've just learned so much about other people and how they treat you and seeing all this stuff, whatever. So like with you, it's like when you became sober, I mean, do you feel like now you've just been able to see people for like what they are? You have no like lens over like the mask that all that?
Well, I don't know about that. I feel like I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You know, like I always want to see the good.
Do you know what Enneagram you are? Have you thought about that?
I'm a 2.
What is a 2?
A people pleaser.
People pleaser. I knew it.
What are you?
Shoot. I'm an 8, the challenger.
Okay. I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little defiant.
So But anyway, like what I've seen in the last like 5 years of being sober is so many other people like come to recovery, like whether or not they had an addiction or if they just decided like, alcohol's not serving me anymore. Like I want something better. I've seen so much healing in my relationships, like with my brother. He got sober. My mom, like, it's so amazing. And I mean, I don't think that alcohol is the enemy.
Right.
I think it was how I was choosing to use it.
100%. Well, and that's what food is not the enemy.
Yes.
Everyone's saying good and bad foods. Guys, like there's not good and bad foods.
Right.
Pizza is not a bad food. It is just if you have the whole pizza by yourself and eat it in influx, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or eat it because you're upset and angry because like I didn't text you back.
Right.
Like it's the intentionality. That's why I always tell my clients, I'm like, if you ate the whole cake, that's cool.
Right.
But like explain why. Like because you wanted to?
Right.
Awesome. Rock with it. Let's go. Move on. Oh, because someone made you upset and sad, and then you had the cake, and then there's a whole thing, and then okay.
And now you got the shame spiral.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, that is where the issues lie, and that's what I want people to address.
Well, and I also think too, like you're helping them find awareness of it.
Yes.
Because for me, I didn't really know that I was an emotional eater until it was pointed out to me.
And that's why I want to work with like more young women and young females because no one pointed out to me at that age either.
Yeah.
And with dance culture and all the things and whatever, you just do what everybody else does.
Right.
And then the only reason you're treated differently is because you don't look the size that the other person does.
Right.
Like, and that's not cool.
No.
And that's why I'm like, no, we all should be eating better.
Yeah.
Just because so-and-so's X amount of weight and whatever doesn't mean that she should be having Doritos either.
Right.
You know? And that's where, you know.
That's a really good point. Because, just looking at someone who's quote unquote like the typical size, I guess. Like that doesn't mean that they're actually healthy.
I will never forget there was a girl who was very thin and she danced with me growing up and she could not make it through the 3.5 minute dance without because she didn't have the cardiovascular. But she looked thin, looked beautiful on stage, whatever. But you know, I'm over here. Yeah, let's run it again. Yeah. Like doing like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever, 10 minutes. And I could do it. I could jump. I could do all this stuff. Oh, but I didn't look as aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. No, I still had the best jumps. I still had the best tricks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whatever. Like maybe
endurance.
So it was just, again, it's like you can't judge me on that.
Right.
Or judge her on that. And that's why I always take my people for like where they're at truly and what they show me versus assuming, you know, X, Y, Z. But no, but I think go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think you're helping to change the situation too, because, you know, just like even hearing someone comment negatively about their body, it's almost like foreign to me anymore.
Right.
You know, because I'm like just not used to being around people that do that. Yes. So that when it happens, I'm just like, whoa, you know, like I'm fat or I need to lose weight. I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like
you realize how wrong it is.
Yeah.
Like, and how negative. And like, I went to see that girl, Riley Gaines, like talk. She's like the swimmer that went up against the trans, you know, guys, stuff like that. Anyway, so basically, long story short, she's up there talking and she said like 5 negative things about her body during the speech, which were irrelevant. Like, I know you're trying to relate to us, whatever, but like, it you know, and it just showed like that insecurity in her because she loved what she did and then now she can't do it anymore. So it's like she needs some form of movement or something to like fill that void. Okay. But again, it was just like, homegirl's married to a 6'4" British dude, has like 300,000 followers on Instagram, is a political figure, has met the president, like, you know, has done all these things, but yet she was talking negatively about her body. And I'm like, this is where we get to the point where, again, it doesn't matter if she looks a certain way or whatever, because everyone in that room would have said she was thin and beautiful, but she didn't. I don't think so.
You are not your body.
Right.
Like, this is just the house that your spirit and soul live in, you know? Like, yes, we want to take care of it. We want it to look good, but like, this is not you. Right. You know?
And that's where it feels so judgmental and so upsetting when you blatantly see people treat you differently when you look a certain way.
Right.
Like, I see the changes. I'm not blind, you know, whatever, but I've always been beautiful. I've always been strong, you know? So it's like, so again, it's like, you know, and bodies are supposed to change. Right. Newsflash, you know, and for the men that think that their girls are not going to change, they're in a rude awakening. If you think that they're going to give you a kid and their body's not going to change, like, sorry to tell you.
Right.
But like it is. And they're not going to get back to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, that's where I get, you know what I mean though? Like, like wake up. And some people are just genetic freaks and like whatever, and that's cool for them. Great life for you. But we all have struggles, so we have to like, you know, whatever. But I do want to say, I get what you're saying about the whole not going to AA, whatever, and finding other outlets. I think that you can grow from those organizations and stuff. Like
Right.
I was with the grief group that I used, and I really liked it, but then it did become like more of a venting session of things that people weren't doing. And I was like, I want to look at the positives and what the people around me who are doing.
Yep.
Because there's enough negative, and then yes, they're good to lean on for support and stuff at times. But really, I was like, I want to be able to like get through this and move past. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really like important to say.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's important to be a part of these groups and like
Well, it's not to be like, oh, I'm better than them, or that I'm
No.
like I'm fixed and I'm whatever. It's nothing like that.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think sharing your story and like, because what that's going to do is help someone who's like new in the room.
Yes.
But I think for me, the group that I was in, it just felt like, first of all, it was mostly men.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was mostly men. I just didn't feel comfortable sharing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Or I was literally called a liar once whenever I shared.
no.
And I was just like, this just isn't
For me.
it's not doing what it used to do. So
Yeah.
but that's not every room.
Right.
That's not every meeting. I just felt like there were other ways that I was getting poured into and also
Yeah.
like able to grow.
Yeah. I got
So,
you.
yeah.
So I did want to say, with the shows and everything happening and stuff, like for my first show, you and Alexis both came in such clutch that like, it's unreal. Y'all were,
I was pulling your wagon, I think.
you were pulling my wagon. Alexis
to the
was
hotel.
was literally drove me. I mean,
She picked out your
She picked out my
outfit.
outfit. Like I can't express like in those moments of just how, and y'all didn't say one thing about my food. There was no judgment. There was no talks. And she went out with me that night and she wasn't like, oh, we need to stay out and we need to whatever. She didn't even drink. She just hung out. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
That part of it. And so that was really special. And like, I know that I was appreciative of that, but just, yeah, it was just incredible and it meant a lot.
The thing I loved too was, because that was the first bodybuilding competition I'd ever been to.
Yeah.
But I just remember you got off the stage and you looked so happy, and I'm not saying anything like negatively about any of the other people, but it just seemed like I saw a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of sadness.
Oh, yeah.
And you were just like thriving.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really about winning. It wasn't really about anything other than just like
that alpha cookie, man.
Yeah.
I just want to fight and an alpha cookie
Yeah.
and be with my friends.
Yeah.
And like, but no, there is a lot of sadness because they continually feel like they didn't do their best or they could have been better.
Yeah.
You could have been better. Even if you win, you still could be better. And because you just beat the people that were on stage, you still,
That's true. Yeah.
So again, it's this whole thing that's why I try to look at them like at the last show I sponsored, they like came off stage and the girls were like, I was like, well, how'd it go? And like, well, we'll see in a little bit. I'm like, no, that's not what I asked you.
Yes.
I said, how did it go? Like, how do you feel? Are you like, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's never good enough, which is fine. Cause you can say, well, bodybuilding, that's how you should feel or whatever. And that's how winners, I don't care. I want to love myself throughout every bit and appreciate every bit. And if there's people that are smaller and people that are larger or whatever, it doesn't matter. They are irrelevant. I worked hard, hit all my poses, hit all my, routine, rocked it out. My suit fit. I felt good. Like I accomplished all my goals and I gave it my all too. It'd be different if I like slacked off and then went up there and was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be up here and I don't know what I'm doing, and I didn't practice. I didn't pay for all the posing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but like, no. So I wanted to make the most of it and be like, this is a party. Like we're here.
Yeah.
There and guys, for anyone
is
that is
everything I
competing,
worked for.
yeah, like you can't change it in that moment.
Right.
Like, there's nothing you can really do that's gonna make you like, anyway. That's that culture. So I love that you were able to see that.
Yeah.
And
And maybe that's not like the reality. I don't know anything about bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I just know what
It's
I
the
know
it's
from
reality.
everyone deserved a medal in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was like, they all look great,
Yeah.
and I know that each and every one of you like have done so much work to get to that stage. So, but yeah, that was what stood out to me was just like how happy you were.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. And I can't wait. Hopefully you'll be at this show. So I'm doing the same one again, Nashville Fit Show and the state show the week before. But yeah, no, I've appreciated getting to hear your story. I mean, I know a lot of it, but there were some things that I didn't ever hear before. And so I've always, just felt like we were like meant to be, like our energies and everything like that. And it is really, I don't take my friendships lightly. And so you mean the world to me, and I'm excited for the next few years. I mean, I feel like there's been jam packed since the last 4 years that we've known each other. The next 4 are going to be incredible too. So
You're about to turn 30.
I know. So yeah, 30 years old and can't wait.
It's the best. I love it.
That's what everybody says. So. Yeah. Okay, I'll trust you on that one. Just take me on an adventure. Let's do that.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Love you.
Right. Until next time, love you. Oh, is that good? Awesome. He was giving me the signs. I was like, oh, shoot.